Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome to Verging, the brand new building series on the channel. An XL demon using an atmospheric song from a talented artist by the name of Mute Hero. It's called OP. I'm going to play it from the 58-second start off set that I've planned with a fade in. I want this to be an effect level, focused on progression, colors, and vibes, but for now I'll be focused on balanced gameplay. In between episodes, I'll call some people in to playtest the layout to make sure it's consistent and fair across refresh rates, but let's not waste any more time yabbering just now. I want to get straight into it. All of the music used in this building series is from the RPG OMORI, just throwing that out there. Already, I've got 4 groups. The first one is for 0 opacity, then there's increments of 25 up to 0.75 on group 4. In the beginning, there's a few shenanigans with slopes before you get boosted to the blocks, so I'm going to set the intro to 0 opacity using group 1, then assign a new group to the following blocks, which is group 5. I'm then going to set a toggle trigger so that group 5 gets activated as you hit the yellow pad, but in order to do this, I need to first turn it off at the very beginning. There we go. All of the jumps in the beginning are perfectly synced to the song, then there's a dash orb that's timed both on input and release before the gameplay gets a bit more bumpy with a portal and downward slope. This yellow pad is going to trigger a little bit of repetition and a pattern in the gameplay style where you just jump back onto the flat blocks similar to what we did earlier, but there's a slight delay with this note, so I'm going to put a blue orb right here which sends you up onto the opposite gravity. So when you just go straight into that portal, you land right here onto the spike, but I want to try a little gimmick where you jump into the portal and give yourself a bit of extra momentum. That's cool. I'm really happy with the intro to this level. It's easy to sight read, it's clean, while also having an interesting portal gimmick that I want to tap into a little bit more later. But for now, it's not too intense, it's giving you a nice taste of what's about to come, because I just think it's important for the intro for an XL level to be forgiving, especially in an XL demon level, to be honest. I feel like I've done something cool in the ship section where you hold with the green orbs and you kind of balance yourself off the block, because you can kind of mess with it where you can either tap it and it drops you straight down, or you can hold to give yourself that boost and go down. I think this usage of them has potential to be more versatile later on in the level if I want to make connections like that. Another idea I have for the ship section is some quite cloudy detail which clears up as you exit the ship and go into the cube with a floaty transition that kind of springs something else onto the screen, you know? So in the exit, I've got 4 purple orbs in a row with similar sounding notes, and then I'm going to break that chain with a big jump with the highest note in the song. Just before any drums kick in, here is the lead up. Boom. Oh, I just thought of an amazing transition. Okay, you just coughed over my cut for my video. I just thought of it. Oh my god. And then you jump into the... Oh, that's genius. Right there, you jump into the cube portal. It works, but it's stupid. You can probably tell that with this layout and probably the whole building series that I'm taking a much more relaxed approach to building. I'm not putting much stress on myself on what I'm making. I built this UFO part in a call, and it was just nice to kick back and not worry about what the result of the video is going to be like. Nah, I don't like that. I'm going to add a J block inside this block just to make sure that you can't continue your input from the blue orb and jump over these 2 blue pads. At the drop, I want to use multiple game modes. These 2 ship portals are both in line with each other. As you can see, they're both checked and the guidelines are still the same. This ball portal is 1 down. I kind of want it to be in the middle just for aesthetic purposes. So to do this, we add a new group to the ball, which is 6. We move it up into the position that we want the guidelines to be. Then we add a move trigger before it ever exists. On 0 move time, that just moves it down 1 block. So now the ball portal will be in line with the rest of the gameplay, and it's fine and dandy. There we go. I've only made a little bit of drop gameplay so far, but I've tried to keep some common traits and flow that's found elsewhere in the level so far, like the black orbs down at the blue pads, which you'll see in the following cube part. I really like the flow so far. I just need to bug fix a couple of things like skipping jumps, as I did right there. For once, I'm 53 seconds into a layout and I actually still have ideas for stuff to continue. Albeit, some of the gameplay is a little bit repetitive at times, like how I keep chucking myself back into a ship portal, and the flip portal and cube portal combinations, but I think familiarity is important for an XL level. Considering there was a ball at the beginning of this segment, I want to round off this segment with a ball leading onto a dash orb in the cube like so. Leading up to the next part of the song, there are a few atmospheric sounds which I've reflected with some tight slope gameplay And then I've also added some fake blue pads. There's a platform here which catches you from the pads when you're hidden, so that the jump from this slope is always consistent with the transition of the wave. So here is that segment of the song played out in normal mode. I really like the repeated ship sections. I mean, for the following parts, I probably won't use ship as much, just to kind of balance out what modes I'm using overall, make it less tedious to go through. But yeah, I really like the entry into the wave too. That's so nice. I'm gonna go against the norm of 4 times and use 2 times for the most climactic part of the song right here. Also, I've just had a very cool idea. While you're in this single space in between these 2 blocks, I'm gonna attach a D block with the group 7, which is gonna move at that point, locking to the X and Y axis, so that I can place blocks wherever I want, and I will be able to slide on every single one without fail. I think that's a cool idea. I just need to make sure I'm using spikes, otherwise you literally can't die in this wave. I'm trying to repeat that blue pad sync that we had earlier in the wave, but you can skip a lot of it. There are 4 blue pads in this wave, so I'm going to put 4 spikes at the end, and just in case, I'm going to add some invisible blocks behind them, just so you can't, like, escape the hitbox. They've each got different groups on them, from 8 to 11, and for each spike, there's going to be a toggle trigger placed inside this block with touch trigger enabled. For example, right here, group 8 is only triggered right as you hit the pad. So let's say I skip all of the pads on this attempt, and then I try to pass the ending. There are multiple spikes there, but if I hit all of the pads, all of the spikes should clear off, and I'll be able to get out of the part safe and sound right there. Also, at this point, after you leave the flat block, there's going to be a toggle trigger for group 7, which was the D block that was following us, so you can no longer slide. So at this point, the player can no longer slide. I'm transitioning to a robot, and you have to jump over a fake slope, otherwise you get boosted into a spike. Following on to another black orb and blue pad combo, and a timed yellow orb. I'm never really a fan of using robot gameplay, but I think I've done pretty well here. It's not for very long. I do plan to bring it back, but there's the build up to the next part. I think I'm going to break into some mini gameplay, starting off with a holding transition, then a bit of a pause, just so you can really adjust to the game mode. My thought process right now is that as the song degrades, the level does too. So you're no longer hitting the black orb into the blue pad, you have to jump an extra distance to get there. It's just an extra twist to the level's progression.
No, me he hecho un 66 en Aftercata. Me he hecho un 66 en Aftercata.
There's a ship part coming up with a few shenanigans such as a blue pad and a normal size portal right here, and then you descend as the cube and jump back into the ship, which I want to continue. In fact, a lot of this level's gameplay has been samey so far, and with the long ship beforehand, I think I'm going to change this to a ball instead. And I think with this ball being 2 times speed instead of 3, it's going to be a lot more intense. I bet you never expected this coming. I'm slowly figuring out how to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing something good because it's asymmetrical, but they're keeping pretty similar on each side. I'm glad I made this a ball and not a ship, because this level would have been pretty repetitive if I didn't do that. And I think this leads on to the duel pretty well. Probably gonna die because I suck at duel. I just don't know how to do it, don't know how to make it. This is probably woeful and people are probably cringing at this, but I think it's decent. The song gets really rough at this point, and I want to capitalize on that with some really bumpy UFO gameplay. Again, the boundaries don't line up. So on group 12 right here, new move trigger that moves 12, 20 down just to preserve the boundaries. And now we have a very glitchy and bouncy UFO section with lots of slopes and orbs and stuff. It's kind of creepy, but then you get a nice slow ship section to round it off. It's like the light at the end of the tunnel. For now, I'm just leaving the structuring open in the final ship because I want to experiment with rotating objects and stuff. And then in the ending, I'm just experimenting with some dash orbs and instant jumps, as you can see. And of course, I had to add the triple at the end. So, after a grueling 8 hours of building, I present to you the Verging layout. Boom! And I passed the triple spike at the end. Let's go. That is my favorite layout that I've ever made. 2 minutes and 5 seconds long. Oh, it's also the longest thing I've ever made. Oh my god. Whether this becomes a full level or not, I'm gonna make sure that something happens to it so that this video and those that follow don't become obsolete. Even if it just becomes a pretty layout or something with random details. But I have plans to make it a full level, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching this Building with Wulzy video. Hope you like the Verging layout. Leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day.